In December and January, Mike and I had the opportunity to go to Myanmar in Southeast Asia. So this presentation is about the Shan Plateau expedition to Myanmar. Up here you'll see this little orange emblem. It's the Myanmar Cave Documentation Project put together by York Drabel. It's really amazing the work that he does. So if you want to learn more about caving in Myanmar, that's a place you should go to check it out. I'm not going to talk a whole lot about politics in Myanmar. One of the reasons that Jeremy had asked us to give this presentation is Myanmar was effectively closed for about 50 years to cavers. So it is one of the last places in the world that you can go that cavers have not run amok and gone to see everything. This is a picture of our friend Fleur with a bunch of the obviously elderly ladies and little tiny kids, because all the other kids are in school, in a village that we went to that had never seen British and American folks before. So Myanmar is in Southeast Asia. There's Asia. Normally we're talking about going to China. Instead we're going to Myanmar. The capital is Yangon, which is where we fly to, and then this big star is where the current capital is, and that's actually really close to where our expedition was. You see a picture here of Aung San Suu Kyi. She was the Nobel Peace Prize winner in 1991. That did not mean that things were cool in Myanmar in 1991. I will not digress into Myanmar politics. More to say that things finally started to sort themselves out in 2010, which was just about the time that the British cavers started going there for expeditions. And even still now, Aung San Suu Kyi cannot be the head of the government, but one of her closest confidants in the National League for Democracy is the head of the government now. Things are changing slowly. The bad part for the people of Myanmar is they went from having a decent economy and being a world-class producer in the 1940s to being at the bottom of the rung of the ladder in almost all the things that the UN keeps track of for countries. So they are slowly making their way back up, but it's still a very poor country. So we wanted to go to Myanmar. You can see in the black stuff is all the karst in Myanmar. And if you look over here, you notice that Mike has me a nice map of active areas of Myanmar's ethnic militants. There are a lot of them. This is another reason why people don't do a lot of caving in Myanmar. We have to have lots of permissions from the government. You cannot go any place that you want to go. And even if you could go places you wanted to go, all these different factions are fighting over natural resources and money and trade with China and other things that we probably have no idea what's going on. Another difficulty in Myanmar, and all the yellow zones you can see, which unfortunately correspond with some of the caving areas, are landmines and known casualties of people interacting with landmines. So I can fuss all I want about having a hard time going to Myanmar, but you need to look at it from the perspective of people who are living there. They are being killed or being killed because of the militant conflicts or having problems with landmines in their everyday life. 50% of their income comes from agricultural related products and resources, so it's a very difficult situation for them. But we were excited to see the pink parts where we were going to go. We were especially excited about being able to get out here to the eastern Shan state, but you notice that that's also a place where there are landmines, and the Wa Army was over here, and people were dying along the border with China right before we left, and we weren't sure how that was going to sort out. So we took China Airlines, and people are the same all over the world. These are all our flight attendants with their cell phones. Everyone's always lost in the cell phone land. And as soon as we landed, Mike and I checked in with our 4 British counterparts about what was going to happen, and we found out our permits were denied. Like, this is the first time that's ever happened to us on a trip. We felt kind of fortunate. We know people who've gone to Mexico and have had no trip. They spent the entire time working with officials. Things were going to work out, and I thought, oh wow, we can go to Thailand, hang out on the beach. That would be fun. But we decided to give it a day or two, see how things worked out. Mike and I did some touristing in Yangon, which was a former capital. Myanmar is a primarily Buddhist country. It's like 88% Buddhist people. One of the nicest things about that is the people could not be any nicer. We've had the opportunity to travel a lot of places in the world. People in Myanmar are incredibly friendly and incredibly generous, and it really made a fantastic trip for us. So you see we spent a lot of time running around the shrines. These are everywhere. They were everywhere that we went. They were where the caves were. They were in people's homes. This is really, really common. It's just more elaborate here in the former capital.
And you have to ring the bells 3 times.
That was Mike's favorite part. So our team, you'll notice we're a really small team. A lot of times you go on international expeditions, there's a bunch of people, but because we needed and I'll talk about this in a minute, we needed a translator, a driver, we could not drive ourselves, we had limited accommodations. You really need to have a smaller group of people. So you see Mike and I down there, but our team leaders were Pete Telling and Fleur Loveridge. The other folks on the team were Ben Wright, who's a British cave diver, and Andrew Atkinson. What you can't figure out from this picture is all these people are absolutely effing brilliant. It's unbelievable. They all have PhDs, and as you can see from their pictures, they all like being silly. So here we are on our way to a small town called Heiho.
Luggage.
Always lots of luggage. Actually, we tried really hard to not have a lot of luggage because it was the 6 of us, the driver, the translator, and our luggage in one vehicle the whole time. So you can only have so much luggage. And you'll notice on the plane it says enjoy royal service. They're really, really, really into tourism here. They want people to come and spend money. It's a way that tends to normalize their country a little bit more. So the first thing you need to do is become a Chot millionaire. You see a couple pictures there of Mike and I with big piles of money. That's the way it works. Their exchange rate means you get these monstrous piles of money. You can't use credit cards most places. There aren't ATMs. You have to change a big pile of money, which is what Mike and I did, to be able to support the expedition the whole time. To be there, we had to have lots of permissions, which I'll talk about in a little bit. We needed a van, a driver, and a translator. You're not allowed to drive yourself. Our guide and translator here, Elga, was amazing. He was a really nice guy. You know, cavers are kind of weird. Y'all ever figured that out? So we go and they say, where do you want to go? We don't know. And when we find the place we want to go, well, how long are you going to be there? We don't know. Maybe a half hour, maybe all day. Are you going to come back? We don't know, because we're doing all original exploration and surveying. And he was willing to roll with that, even though the government restrictions are pretty tight on him. He's like, okay. He would go out every day. You see a picture of him here with a whole bunch of people. He could either instantly or within 2 minutes get every person that he ever talked to, no matter where we were in the whole 3 weeks, to laugh. I don't speak Burmese, but this guy is good at what he does. So he really, without him, we could not do the trip. I've learned to speak Mandarin now. I can't learn to speak language at every place that we go, so he was great. The other person, we'll have a couple more pictures of him down here, is Mr. Myo. It's this lovely road. He was willing to drive us everywhere, maintain the vehicle, had a great attitude, always had a smile. And sometimes we needed a tractor, although the tractor didn't work out for us this year. So we're going to show you some places we went caving. Down here is a farmhouse. We were lucky to be able to stay in a farmhouse. Then from there we drove to all these caves that are in that big blue circle. So, to be able to do this, you have to have permission. Before we even went there, our trip leaders spent a lot of time working with the Ministry of Tourism and also a tourism company that our guide worked for so that we were able to go there. And when we first got there, we met with this group of people. Luckily for us, this fella here, Siegfried, is part of a German, it's not an NGO, it's a development organization that has literally billions of dollars around the world trying to do development in rural areas. And he found out about the cavers, and he set it up so that we were able to stay in a village for the first 6 days. It was pretty amazing. You notice here it says, warmly welcome and take care of tourists. They really mean it. You see this sign everywhere. They could not be any nicer. They really try hard to take care of you. The Tongji branch of the Directorate of Hotels and Tourism was really interested in what we did. There's a picture there in the middle of Mike with his sketchbook talking to the director about what we did, trying to set up a trip for next year. And he was fascinated and really likes it. They're looking for different ways for people to come and do ecotourism. And down here in the bottom corner, you see Ben sitting. This is in a monastery, and back there is their Buddha shrine. Every place we went, you need to have tea either with a monk or with the head person from the village. But it was really a great way to start the day. Go someplace, want to go caving? Oh, you need to sit down and have tea. Let us feed you. Let's talk for a while. And we had a good time with that. One of the things that the trip leaders did was bring some postcards of the Lake District in England. People got a kick out of that. So finally we get to the caves. There are typical creepy crawlies for tropical caves. Not a whole lot of these. This picture you see with all this black stuff, those are spiders. I don't get to, they're these kind of spiders, they're just daddy long legs, but I do have to give a shout out to my crew who completely routed on this trip because of daddy long legs. The problem was they're these big blobs, like about as big as my hand, and then when you shine your light on them, they say, "Oh, what's that?" And they make a big droopy thing and they go blorp, either onto the floor, into the water, onto you, and went to my crew who were both spider phobic, but ran out of the cave. Like, oh, so.
Try like naked underneath one.
Yeah, go for it, dude. There is a video, which is not included, of someone screaming at the spider. So really, we were ready to go in the cave. I was all ready to survey, and my crew refused to come in the cave with me. So
We were estimating maybe over 50,000 per square meter.
Yeah.
The tiny pack.
he's not
The
joking.
entire cave was
So
fine.
50,000 per square meter. It was unbelievable. It was a little unnerving even to me, but they're daddy's long legs, you know.
What about snakes?
Ah, there you go, Philip. Thank you. So Myanmar is known for having lots of poisonous snakes, or venomous snakes. They're not poisonous. We did not see any snakes on the surface at all. I think partly because of where we were. It's highly agricultural, and they killed all the snakes, literally, because they're very dangerous. However, this guy that's there is a cave racer. He's not so dangerous. He's interested in eating bats. And that was the only snake we saw in 3 weeks' time. We got to stay in a farmhouse in Tongmingi village. We were really excited. This is the 7th trip that the Brits have had there. No one's ever been able to stay in a village before. They were hoping to put it on a trail that went along with trekking and biking. So we were sort of their test case, and we tried to tell them, these campers, maybe they're not your best test case, because we don't care, we'll put up with anything. But they were happy to have us. And the farmhouse, we stayed in the upstairs part. You see there's a nice railing where we put all our muddy cave gear, and over here is where we had our meals. So you can see us upstairs. There's a Buddha shrine. There's a Buddha shrine in every house. That's really important. That's also where we slept. And we could do whatever we wanted there. You just couldn't point your feet at the Buddha, and we weren't allowed to drink alcohol upstairs. Okay, we can do that. So downstairs is where they fed us. They cooked over a wood fire the whole time. You can see this is a typical meal. They serve you rice. They have fresh vegetables. They grow tea there. You have fresh tea with every meal. They had fresh oranges. The food was always fabulous, and they really enjoyed hosting us. To hang out with the family. They've already eaten. They feed us, and unfortunately, we don't speak Burmese, so there's not a lot of conversation, which would really have been nice, because they're really wonderful people. They worked hard to make sure that we had breakfast and dinner every night, and I would love to have been able to talk to these ladies. Everyone was always smiling, no matter what was going on. They were always really happy, but we don't know any Burmese. So every morning when we were there in the village, we get up and hike to the caves. So you can see it's pretty dry. A lot of the places we go in Southeast Asia, we go at the dry time of year. You'll notice in the bottom picture, everybody's got some big heavy thing on their back. We went to another village where the women, the only way to get there was to walk for an hour, and they were carrying steel girders on their back. It's just what you do when you live in these places. Some of the karst here was pretty vertical. Came to watch Kirshner's talk last weekend. There's a lot of structure here, and maybe the caves don't get quite as big. You can make some friends. I had a great time with this lady, even though neither one of us could speak to each other. We managed to communicate and have a good time walking down the road for a while. Every place you go, there are shrines. They're just everywhere in Myanmar. They also grow coffee. Ben's down there with his hand in a coffee bean bag. And you see smaller entrances. They're not all great big. So there's some pictures of caves. You'll notice they'll have some other pictures of caves outside, like this one. Agriculture goes right up to the edge of the cave. So they try to make use of all the parts of their landscape. We found 14 caves on this expedition and mapped 4.5 kilometers. I'm not going to go through by names and links and all that, but none of them were very long. Part of that, I think, has to do with the geology. A couple of times we didn't continue exploration because the air was bad. One of the expedition folks had an O2 meter with them, and we did use it, and it did go off especially in airplanes in the luggage compartment. We haven't quite figured that out. You'd be sitting, the plane would be quiet, and you're beep, beep. It's like, oh, is that bad? I don't know. It's like that. So just some pictures of typical cave passages. You can tell that a lot of water has moved through there in the past and carved things out. These pictures are some bigger caves, so you'll see some little red cavers in them. There's a caver here. So some big cave entrances, but once again, none of them were super extensive. I think the longest cave we mapped this time was 900 meters, which was still a nice cave, but they were not super long. This particular one ended in a beautiful crystal sump. They would hike us off to places. This one had quite a steep climb down, and there were bamboo ladders in the cave. That's pretty common. The local people want to access whatever happens to be there. Sometimes they mine for guano. They're just looking for resources like anybody else. The bamboo ladders are not terribly sturdy though. And in this cave, for whatever reason, there were drawings on the wall. We don't know if they were new or old. We suspect they're probably newer charcoal drawings, and they seem to reflect some of the Buddhist mythology that we saw in the temples. There's another big cave entrance, so someone's standing at the entrance, and it must be me, little orange caver down there. So our guides would come with us to the entrance and talk to people. They would also usually come in the cave with us for a while until we got pretty far in or things started getting, like me down here going through the water, and then they would say, you guys can do that on your own. Some typical cave passages. This particular cave, I think this was the longest one, ended in a big fault zone. So we really wanted to get out there to the east where the river caves were in the eastern Shan state, but we couldn't go there at all because of fighting. So we settled for these guys, which ended up being pretty cool caves. Another day we went to a monastery, and they said they had 2 caves for us to see. So the cave here in the bottom is one of the caves that we mapped, and then they said, oh, we have another small cave, and you can see Fleur in the other small cave. When the caves are small, they tend to turn them into shrines. So this cave, you can see Andrew and I standing up there, and all these stupas and Buddhas. We usually take off our shoes. You can see Fleur's got her shoes off, and we did actually survey that cave, even though it was short. From the village, we went back to the head, or the main town in Uangan Township, which is Uangan, and they had stayed in what they referred to as a truck stop. But so this is our truck stop place. We had a nice common area, which is helpful because when you go on these expeditions, you spend time every evening with data. So you see everybody there with their laptop geeking out, and these are just like super geeks, even geekier than Mike Futrell.
False news.
Alternate facts.
And even here in the guest house, there's a Buddha shrine. That's pretty common. We're hanging up our cave clothes. Out in the back, they had a place for us to wash gear. This place was really great, and you could just walk down from here to restaurants. We went to restaurants for breakfast and dinner. So here's a typical breakfast shot and a dinner shot for us. In the morning, the monks would come through. They're looking for money, and they're also looking for food. They don't make their own food or buy their own food. They count on the people living in the town to feed them. This up here should be a favorite for Will and Zena. It's a whole bowl of peppers. The peppers in Myanmar are fabulous. I really wish we could bring some home, but you can't bring home fresh stuff. And going from the Uangan Township after we left the village, you had to drive all the time. So this is a typical road. There's our little vehicle back here. You need to watch out for all the livestock. It gets kind of dusty, but you can have these wonderful young women provide gasoline for you. So they put it in the bucket, and they wear their little pink fuzzy coats, and they have this yellow paste that they wear on their face to protect themselves from the sun. So those were the people who waited on you at every gas station. So from there, we went out to this place off to the west. Mike and Pete spent a lot of time on Google Earth and found a whole bunch of resurgences for us. Unfortunately, they didn't turn out to be that well. So these white arrows were places that we went to up in the village. The village is sort of just like right over this escarpment. And now we're going down off the big escarpment to the black to go caving. So that involved a lot of hiking. This time of year, luckily, it was not so terribly hot, so we're up here and we're going down there. That took about an hour and a half. It was very beautiful, though. And once again, you get to town, there are Buddhist things. You can see the women walking around in the village. You need water, you put it in your head, on your head, you carry it around. These people have a pretty difficult physical life. This place had one cave. This was our second longest cave. That was a river cave, and we were really excited about this when we got there. You could see the resurgence here. We went in and started swimming. The local people came in with us, had a good time. They didn't do all the swimming bits. Swimming was pretty easy. The caves are pretty warm. They're a lot warmer than they are here. So you see us traversing around the edge or swimming through the middle. Yeah, there's a picture of Mike and Andrea at the same time. That never happens. But all the caves sumped out, or they didn't go very far. This is our infamous spider cave. You can see Mike at the entrance, and that's all the farther Mike ever got. You can see Fleur and I here, and I'm setting the station, and Fleur is very spider phobic. So this whole time she's going, oh, oh. And all this black stuff you see up here are those spiders, those big blobs of spiders. So Andrew and Pete had to survey the cave for us, unfortunately. Yeah, right here you see the entrance. Water's flowing out the entrance. For whatever reason, the oxygen meter started going off 3 meters into the cave and never stopped. Yeah, the spiders. I don't know. The spiders like suck up oxygen. I have no idea. So it wouldn't have been a great cave to go surveying in anyway because there wasn't enough oxygen. This was another big entrance, and the theme of the trip after this point became finding big entrances, but they ended up being just rooms, and they didn't go very well. So you get that typical tropical karst at the entrance. Another day, Mike and Pete and I went on another death hike up and down. Our guides were fabulous. They cut a great trail for us. They had a really good attitude. We went to a cave called Bat Cave. You can see on the ground here there's a tarp. They've been collecting guano for fertilizer. And this is the cave that the cave racer was in. But this cave ended in gnats and bamboo ladders and bad air, and we just didn't push it because we didn't feel like being in guano with gnats and bamboo ladders and bad air. That combination didn't work for us. So we went down from there, and there's this amazing resurgence. We probably went to 4 or 5 resurgences like this. And you get all excited, it's like, oh wow, this is so cool. And there's the cave. That's it. Standing in the cave, it only went like 3 shots. Outside, it was incredibly beautiful. There are all these travertine falls and gower pools, but there was no cave. So we'd like to thank a whole bunch of people, our guide and interpreter, Elgar, our driver, Mo, the German folks who provided us with places to go. I won't read through all the rest of them. It's really important, the friendly, generous people of Myanmar, because they treated us really well. For this, going to Myanmar is not cheap. I would say this is one of our more expensive expeditions that we went on because you have to hire a guide and a van and a driver. So we got sponsorship. The Brits got sponsorship from the Gar Parao Foundation. I got sponsorship from the NSS International Exploration Fund. If you think you want to go on a trip, they've always got money to give away, and they can't give it away. So give it a try. Our photographers were Mike and me and our friend Fleur. This is a picture of our team with Mr. Mew, our driver, and Elgar, our interpreter, outside of Pindaya Cave, which is a commercial cave. Any questions?
Andrea,
What? Oh, there's one more. Oh, sorry. Yay. Yeah, so that is important because Jorg maintains this website for the cave documentation, and one of the points of the group is to provide information for ecotourism and sustainable development for people. So they try to collect all the information and make it available. It doesn't just go into somebody's cabinet at home. Okay.
All right, so what are these shrines usually made of, especially the ones that are in the caves?
They're usually stucco on the inside, and I don't know. Some of them do actually have gold on the outside. So some of it, not just gold paint, like people come with gold leaf and press it onto the shrines. Yes, sir.
How spicy was the food?
This food was not really that spicy. You get to decide how much you want to spice it up. So,
There was always chilies around.
yeah, you can
Like
make
all
it
different
as
tastes of
spicy as
chilies,
you
and
want.
You could make it whatever you wanted.
All right.
Yeah.
Was there ever a time that you guys felt kind of in danger at all?
No, not at all. In fact, Mike did not include a slide of, if you go past the police station, they have a little sign there that says, "How can I help you?" And they're not joking. Like, part of the reason we never felt like we had a problem was, in this case, because our permits were denied, we were staying in places called white zones. So the government had already determined this place should have no problem whatsoever. There were at least a couple of times on previous trips where people were out where they were intercepted by men in vehicles with guns and said, "Please come with me," and then you think, what's going on? They never had a problem. That made them feel uncomfortable, but nothing like that happened with us. Yeah.
What was your longest time underground?
Oh, wow. One of the problems here, from a caver perspective, in Myanmar is they want to feed you breakfast, and that's good because you need to eat, and then they want you to come back by dark. So you can never really have a long time underground. You need to get to the cave, you need to get started surveying, then you need to get back out of the cave, get back in the vehicle, and get back to wherever they want you to be. They're really, really interested in you being safe, so we were never underground that long.
And even if we can't do it that way, if you're trying to cave every single day for, 2-3 weeks, if like the China trips, we can stay as long as we want. Occasionally we have done like 24-hour or so trips. But then you're laying around sleeping all day, so more apt to do like 6-7 hours every single day. And just on that.
Thanks.
Yeah.
You going back?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the Brits definitely want to go back. We would like to go back. I already said, and it probably sounds silly, but the people could not be any nicer, and that really makes a difference. Our guide was super nice. The driver was super nice. The people just fall all over themselves to help you. They're interested in what we're doing. They really want us to be there. The food is good. Everything about it is good. So, yeah, we'd like to go back. We really like to get to those river caves in the eastern Shan state. That would be exciting. Yeah.
Why did you guys, what made you want to go here?
Because no one's been here for 60 years. It's really an area in the world that cavers have not had a chance to explore. Another reason is some of the younger folks have asked me, how do you get to go on these trips? The people that we went with are super nice. It was the Brits. It was so easy to be with them for 3 weeks and do the things we wanted to do. It's like, oh, I know if I go with Pete and Fleur and Andrew and Ben, we'll have a fabulous time because everybody is laid back and we're also all ridiculously survey driven and want to find new caves and survey caves. So, yeah.
How'd you meet the Brits?
We met them on an expedition in Austria. So I think, yeah, all of them. So like, yeah.
What temperature are the caves? You mentioned they're pretty warm.
The caves are really warm. I don't even know, Mike. It's like we're wearing. You can see we're wearing like you could wear a t-shirt and shorts, or not shorts and pants. Some people were wearing their oversuit. If you're trying to wear your oversuit in some of the caves, especially if they didn't have air, you were dying hot. You know, taking your oversuit down and tying it around your waist. So yeah, it was warm. Yeah.
So 65, were there a lot of bats around here?
No, we did not see a lot of bats, but there's all kinds of reasons we wouldn't see bats. Especially, maybe a third of the caves had bad air, so the bats aren't going to hang out in there. Another reason might be deforestation where we're at, although I don't know that. Another reason might be people look for sources of protein wherever they can get it, and bats are sources of protein. So, they may trap and eat bats because they need to eat. We have a different perspective, but they need to eat. Okay, thanks. Oh, wait, one more.
Was it very buggy there, or mosquitoes, or?
No, that would be another reason to go back. I could not believe it. Like, no flies, no mosquitoes, no gnats. I did get a tick in my ear, but hey, that's going to happen anyway. Really, the bugs were just not a problem at all. It was amazing. Okay, cool, well, thank you.
Thank you.